Linda. And maybe Kim, see now, this is kind of nice, sorry about it, but for Kim and Roz too. Hey guys. That way, you know, they can kind of keep up. So today we are going to work on, we worked on last week your basic two-dimensional shapes, right? Square, circle, triangle, and then combining those or elongating them or something like that. So today we're going to work on these three-dimensional shapes, which you guys are already doing a great job.
Oh, sorry.
So to go, these are what we're doing today, from two-dimensional to three-dimensional, then combining the forms like we had in the chair or your vase. Very good, because it looks like you thought through with, you know, the circle and then the rectangles and the triangles, and you put them together. Can I show that real quick? I'm going to go back here so that...
I kept thinking that'd be helpful, but didn't do it.
So she had a circle here, a little rectangle here, piece of paper on the floor, a nice triangle there, and then combined them to create the form that she wanted to. I even did that with like elementary school kids, and they can get it.
Yeah.
You know, as adults, we get so trapped in what we're experienced with to try to get back to those simple forms, I think helps. So again, circle, you want to think not only that it's around this way, because there's no actual lines on this. If you think there's a line, well, there is a line here, but that's how they made it. It's not there, because if you just move slightly, it's a curve. So we do this to kind of create that illusion. And you need to think, it's not only going this way, it's going around this way and this way in all of these different directions. It's not this. Do you see what I mean? It's not like layers of circles on top of each other. It's more like an atom. You know how the electrons go around and around in all these different directions, and that creates that full outer form of that. So we're going to be thinking that, because when we get into shading, that's going to help us. So this one's going around, this is coming at, and let me see, okay. It's going to be oblique, because I'm looking at it at this angle instead of drawing it from here. So if my shapes are a little bit off, that's why. So as this part comes around, and then it disappears in behind. So that's, remember last time we kind of did darker and lighter this way, same over this way. Remember to turn the paper if it's going to help you. Forward out it this way. And you're thinking the form as it's going around it, so that even if you don't draw it all out, you're going to be thinking that way. Do you want to try that on the paper real quick? Maybe just a little, you know, 2-3 inches.
That's why the easel was challenging. If we were turning the paper, I couldn't do that on my little easel, which was my little prop up for my iPad.
Right. You can't, I mean, if it's attached to the easel like this, I can't turn the paper.
Yeah.
On my easel, I have a board on my easel, and the paper's attached to the board, so I can take the board off and turn it.
Okay, all right. Okay, think atom.
Just that thinking helps. Beth went through, she took that picture, as you're drawing, keep drawing. She took the picture of the bottles and stuff, and she like did all of it. By repeating and practicing over and over, that's gonna help so much. So don't look at this down here.
Do you want us to draw complete circles or just lines?
This is helping you with the thinking. Like it's a circle, but it's going.
I get it. Yeah, I
around.
understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the only reason I make it darker is I'm thinking, okay, it's coming at me, so I want to
Got
emphasize that and then kind
Okay.
of fade off in the distance.
Okay.
Try to hold, if you can, maybe try hold, yeah, perfect, Jennifer, that's great. Not like you're writing,
Yeah.
but kind of like you're relaxed, if you can. I know you're sitting down, gets a little tricky. Somebody brought me- You what?
The spirograph happened.
Yeah, that's right.
That was
helps in your
fun.
thinking.
I always like those spirographs, it's a good. My Adam's getting wonky though.
Well, mine did. But just by doing this, even this one time, will help your thinking for future. And you go back and you can practice. I mean, on the sheet here, I just found this little stupid thing. I tried to find, I didn't do these, I grabbed them off the internet. That one that just kind of goes around and around, and that's not exact. Or like string, you know, when you're wrapping string around a ball.
Yeah.
All right. What am I gonna do next? Cylinder. Let's try a cylinder. I don't have a good cylinder here. I'll grab one of these. So when you're putting something in space, we talked about your point of view, where your horizon is. It's always at your eye level. So if this is at our eye level, it's gonna look like a straight line. If we're looking up at it, it's gonna curve up and away. If we're looking down at it, it's gonna curve down, because in reality, it's a circle. But now we're putting it in that illusion of space. So you take the front of it, here's your cylinder, it's a circle. Oh gosh, I can't draw one either. And if it's straight on at it, it's going to be, if this is your eye level, right, that's gonna be straight. So you'll see a lot of people, for instance, draw a cup on a table. Oh, it's on a table, bam. No, because look.
Guess
can't
which
see it
one
down
the
here.
ball is under.
No. If you see this, I mean, it's a flat line here. But once we
But
set
it's
it down here, you can start to see that curve coming at you. So it's not, even when it's sitting on a table, it's gonna have a curve. Right.
Well, and it's so much easier to see when you put it on the black like that.
Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
I'm so good.
Put stuff on black.
And I use the white objects because they keep, color complicates things so much. So I try to find, and it's hard to find, you know, good white objects, and they get all mushed.
Or dark on light would probably work too.
Yeah. Although you can't, if it's a black object, you might not see some of the differentiation.
Yeah, I was having trouble seeing the angles just from the light that was
Yeah.
in my living room last night.
This is tricky too, this type of styrofoam, because it's so, it got all these little reflective crystals and stuff on it that it's hard to see. So for a cylinder, we would think the top part of the cylinder and the bottom part, right? And then we can put them together. I always kind of think, okay, I'm gonna bring this curve, again, I'd probably turn it over for my hand to work better as it's coming forward toward you.
Okay.
So,
But you can draw the whole ellipse and then just highlight the part, yes, and the other part fades in the background.
yeah,
All right, all right,
that's
all
what
right.
I do. Yeah. And we're talking about a cylinder. Let's say if we had a lighthouse or something, and you're standing partway on the lighthouse. Here we are, standing on a lighthouse. So your horizon is gonna be here. So if you're at the lighthouse and you're at the ocean, the edge of the ocean's gonna be out there, because it's gonna follow, the horizon's gonna follow your sight, where your sight is, right? So here's our eyes, and we're looking, and that's there. So at this point, the cylinder, if it's one of those striped lighthouses, will be a straight line. But we remember it's a circle if you look straight down on it. So as it's coming down, each ellipse is going to increase, because we're starting here, and as it goes down, I don't know if you can't see, but it gets more and more of a curve until we're on top of it and it's a circle again.
Wouldn't have
So
thought about
this will, I'm gonna exaggerate, but it's gonna increase as it goes down. So if there were stripes on that, they're gonna not be, it's not gonna be just bump, 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 right? It's gonna follow the form. That's why understanding the form is gonna help so much in the drawing. And of course then, as we go up, we're gonna emphasize the curves that are going up. So when you have the cupola on top, that's just a smaller cylinder on top of the cylinders. That curve's gonna be even greater. So you can see these curves are getting greater as you get further away from that central area. Does that make sense?
Yes. Now that you tell us that, wouldn't have thought about it on my own.
So you want to be thinking, if you're doing a still life, usually we're looking down on the still life. So you're going to see those curves, and the ones coming at us are usually the ones that are emphasized.
So this was you looking up at the.
Here, you're looking up. So this curve would be the one that would, because as a lighthouse, it's going behind, you're not going to see that. Of course, then a lighthouse is usually also conical as it goes up, but right now we're just talking cylinder. Now, if we did have a cone, cone is basically a cylinder just leans in, right? So, as we've kind of gotten this, straight line down the middle, let's say it's smaller at the top, bigger at the bottom. What I'm doing here, here's my central line, I'll try to emphasize it. I measure out equidistant from the base and equidistant from the top. If you can't measure, just take, I'm putting the end of my pencil here, taking my finger, that's the distance, the same there, bump, bump. This one, so if you don't have a ruler, you can still measure out. See, that one's a little short, right?
Yeah.
Just slide your finger down to where it's
did
gonna
that.
work.
And I thought a see-through ruler would be a big help.
Could be. The trick with one is, you don't wanna rely on it too much, because then you start looking stiff and architectural, which if you want that look, that's fine. So you don't even need a ruler, you just need another pencil. So, in the conical shape, again, you still have these concentric circles going around the object as it's going. So the base will be quite curved, and then going up this way,
And it's the
it'll
front
get bigger.
edge.
So this one's gonna be high, up like that. See how it changes? Now, normally, this is not a normal point of view. I mean, go ahead and sketch it down if you want. I'm always taking notes, so I draw for notes, so. If you need me to slow down, let me know, please. Got so much to cover. Normally, we don't look at that. Normally, like here, we're looking down, right? So you would not see this. We would see, I'm gonna get this guy in here again. Here's the horizon. And we're up here looking down. So we're gonna see, that's not the horizon. That's my table. The horizon's up here. So we're only gonna see the parts going down, and as they go down, we're gonna understand it gets a greater curve. Because our horizon's up here, and we're not gonna see above that. So this flat cup sitting on the table, now we understand that the top curve here is gonna be less than the bottom curve here, because what's happening at where it hits the table is it's further down on the curve of the cylinder. Clear? So if it's here, it's gonna be different than if it's down here. This is gonna,
sound like a nerdy question.
no, there's no
but
nerve.
Do the arcs or the curves actually get, is it a deeper curve? Or
Yes.
So if you had, like, if you were in a geometry class or something, and you actually measured those, the one at the bottom, it's not just longer, but it has more of a bend to it?
Yes,
Is that right?
because again,
Okay,
the curve at your eye level
right,
is just a flat, this is a circle, but
right.
here it's a flat line. And as we bring it down, the illusion is that curve gets greater and greater.
Yeah,
Kind of look at it here. And then keep that in your mind, and then look at it here. It's a deeper curve now because it's further down.
And you see more around the back,
Yeah.
kind of. Yeah.
So seeing, that's the thing. I'm giving you some simple tools
Yeah.
that now, putting that in your head, you can see better and understand better. So yeah, the curve gets deeper as you get further down because it's getting closer to that circle.
I just need to move that chair because now I can't see the black.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can, Jackie, just let me know. I'm up here mobile and jumping around. Yeah,
Yeah, it made a real difference. When you didn't do it more curvier, it looked like it was not anchored.
right, and we still sometimes people want to fight that instinct to make, oh, it's sitting on a flat table, I need to make it a flat line, and it doesn't work. And I've seen sketchbooks that have a drawing on them, and they're published, these sketchbooks, with like a lighthouse or something, and the bottom's flat, and I'm like, who would even put this on here? It's not drawn properly.
Where does, excuse me, where
Yes.
does it, sit on the table? I understand that it's not a flat line, but where is that curve gonna sit on the table?
That's when we talk about proportions and relationships and how they relate to each other.
But you also don't see, like at the bottom of the lighthouse, that's part of the sphere, you're not seeing the back of it, right?
This is not a sphere. Sorry, this is a sphere. This is a cylinder.
Okay.
So, on a cylinder, you're imagining these, see how this circle goes around and then this one goes around? And then this one goes around. So it's like concentric circles going all the way around
Yeah,
this, because it doesn't go this way too, it
Right,
just
right,
goes
right,
this way.
right.
So,
You're not seeing the back of it though, that's.
no,
But it is there.
it is there, and I draw it through.
I draw it too, that's what I.
You want to draw it through, because what if you know, for instance, on this cone, that behind this cone sits a box, touching that cone on the back. You need to know kind of where the back of that is, so you know where that box is gonna sit behind it. X-ray vision, you know, understanding that so we can understand it. Sphere, cylinder, cone. All right, here's our fun one. The cube.
Yeah, nemesis.
What did you say, Mensis?
The nemesis.
The nemesis.
it is.
All right.
Do you want to use this as an example? It's a little dark to see though. I
Yeah,
think
not
that-
good. I start one here. All right. Again, as we were talking about, we know that, my people in there can't see, a cube, in reality, the sides that are parallel go in the same direction. And these go in the same direction, this way. But because we're looking at it three-dimensionally, it sits back in space. And that creates, and I'm not gonna do a lot with perspective right now, but it creates a bit of perspective. Perspective would be, I think I mentioned this last time, if you had railroad tracks, right? You're looking down on railroad tracks, and they are parallel and even. But if this is your horizon, and here's the closest tie, it's going to appear that they are disappearing and getting closer as they go back in space. Same with a cube, but not so dramatically. Trick with a cube, This, on the horizon line, is called 1-point perspective. It's because you're standing right in the middle of it. Like if I stand in the middle of this room, I'm inside this box, which is disappearing out there. All of these lines, if I follow through, here's my room. I'm standing in the middle, this is my head, my eyesight, horizon line. So here's the back wall. And I know that all of these lines are gonna converge at a vanishing point on the horizon line.
Okay.
So, in a room, here I'm standing, that's the back wall, so I'm not gonna see all the way out there. But this is the ceiling. Doop, 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 right? Here's that wall over there going back in space. Here's the floor going back in space. And see how all of a sudden I'm inside a room.
Huh.
And I'm right in the middle of it, so it's converging on one vanishing point.
And that's called perspective. not-
One, this is 1-point perspective.
Okay.
1 point. In the Renaissance is when they started, or pre-Renaissance actually, started realizing this, and you can see they would take a frame and they would take thread and draw, attach all these lines, so they started to understand perspective. It's easier for us today because of photography. It flattens the picture plane for us. They didn't have that tool. Now, this is kind of rare because here we have this box, we're inside it, but how often are we there? We're not inside this box. We are not, if you're standing directly in front of it, it would be 1 point per perspective. So let me do one like that. Here's your box. You have the front of the box. We know that the line behind, front box, this line and this line,
Parallel.
or this line and this line, parallel
And equal length.
and equal length. This line back here is also parallel. I'm just gonna kind of throw in a line back there. And I'll talk about how measuring that after, right? So there's another line back there that's parallel, and then there's this one behind that you can't see, but our X-ray vision can see that. And if it's in 1-point perspective, say our horizon's up here, because that's where our eye level is, about this far above the box. These lines that are parallel to each other in reality are going to converge on that vanishing point. So this line is going to go back to that. This line is going to head back to that. Same with the underlines here, but we can't see them. But this helps us if we kind of put those in, because if this is a chair or a table, we need to know where they go, right?
Huh.
That would be where the lines are. So here now is our 1-point perspective
For a box.
box. Box there. So that's kind of all we're seeing right now, is the front of the box and the top of the box. Am I in somebody's way? You good, Kristen? Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I got it.
All right.
Shading help.
But how often do we sit right in front of the box and see it? Go ahead and sketch it
Not
out. if
often.
you- We usually see it at an angle.
Yeah, that's what it,
Now we need to figure out these angles. I'm just kind of waiting because people are still kind of sketching. How we doing, Jackie, back there? Good?
she's fast.
All right. How do we determine this? We could take out a ruler, we could measure it. We do see artists doing this. Now, if you get a chance, when you get a chance, get your pencil, close one eye, put the end of the pencil at one edge of the box, and then run your thumb until it hits the other edge of the box. So I'm going from one side of the box to another. That gives you the length of the box. Now while you're doing that, everybody set? Bring your hand toward, bend your elbow. What happens? It changes, right? Look at
Yay.
the distance on the pencil is not the same. So when you see artists doing that, you have to lock your elbow and keep it at the same distance, because if you do this and you go, how does that compare to the height?
Huh, okay.
You have to do. The locking the elbow keeps it at an equal distance from your eye. Jack, you get some boxes on the table there. You can use those if you want.
Yeah.
Okay. So by doing this, and now I turn where my thumb is, I can see the comparison of the width of this box to the height of the box.
Very cool.
Which, because I have to go back and forth from the closest corner to me to the distance. So I've done this measurement. Now I'm comparing this, and then I have to go back here. So I'm looking at the distance from here to here as well. You guys, it will be here. Wait. Yeah, this one to this one. So you're comparing this to this. And then you kind of have to go back and forth. So from where I know this is a rectangular box. But from where I'm standing, it's about as wide as it is high. So I'm just going to kind of estimate a box. So it's going to be within that. Because it's height and width. What am I going to use for my measuring unit? We need a measuring unit. Normally I choose the closest corner to me. That's where I'm going to start. Your vertical lines in this situation are always vertical. The only time these vertical lines are not going to be vertical if it's a skyscraper, and then you've got that extra perspective going way up into the sky. Don't think about that right now. So these are vertical. So I'm going to start with the closest one to me, and I know it doesn't take the whole box. All right, now I'm going to kind of ignore this, but this is for you folks here. Are you straight onto the box?
Yeah.
Is this one a little closer to you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to tilt it just slightly. Now you're straight on.
Yeah.
Okay. And you guys, it's going to be this corner. So you find that corner, and that's going to be your measurement.
So you draw the flat box first.
I'm just thinking, this is my picture plane. I'm going to keep it within this size. So now I'm kind of ignoring that outline, but
Okay.
it's in the back of my head.
So, wait, how did you get that size?
That was when we looked at the overall size of the height of the box to the width of the box.
And it's just the height and the width and
Yeah,
the
and it's just a
width, and
generality
that's a
at this
general
point.
idea.
So
Okay.
I'm just kind of,
Okay.
now we're going to start in earnest. The height of the box here. And we just kind of, so this is now our measuring unit, 1 unit. And as we do, when we start adding other things in, we'll find out there's other measurements. So that's our unit. This is our line of sight going in this way. We're going to draw an imaginary line that is perpendicular. Don't you love geometry? Perpendicular. I love this back in high school. You have your line of sight going toward that line, and we have a line that is perpendicular to our line of sight. Valerie, I need to get
So for your first box, are you basically trying to draw the actual dimensions of that on your paper just to keep in mind size?
This is, you know how your vase went off the paper the other day?
Yeah.
This is just realizing I'm gonna keep my drawing basically within this shape, this area,
Okay, so that's almost like defining your canvas.
kind of a canvas, yeah.
Okay,
And then I'm gonna kind of
okay,
get.
okay.
So for Valerie,
Yes.
your line of sight is coming this way, and
Yes.
Jackie, almost for you, the line perpendicular to that, this line will be there. There. Are you almost straight onto this box?
Yes,
Which corner does one seem,
I think it's this,
This
actually,
one?
this one's a little closer on the left. It's the closest corner we're working with.
yes,
'Cause
find the
It
closest.
felt like the closest.
Oh, you're
It's
almost
tilted towards me.
straight on,
Yeah.
wow.
Not much tilt, but to the side.
Okay, I'm gonna, I try to get, but whichever one it is. So your line of sight is coming this way, the line that's perpendicular to your line of sight. For you, it'll be like there. So that's that bottom line that you'd be drawing in. So step number one is our vertical. Then we have the line that's perpendicular to line of sight. This is not the table. This is just gonna help us figure out now at what angle the other lines are gonna go off at. We know these lines are heading off at some angle, but we need some basis
Yeah.
to figure that out. So, Valerie, you're here. Now you estimate what is the angle that this line goes off at.
Yeah, how do you do that?
You estimate.
Oh, shucks.
I mean, you can measure it, but you can estimate. So you're gonna look at the degree kind of difference between there and there. For you, Beth, I'm gonna go for you, line of sight, you're gonna be looking like, how does this go off?
Yeah.
What's the angle here? Mine is gonna be different. There's my line of sight, that looks almost 45-degree angles for me. So I've just kind of estimated how that is going off, and it's approximately 45 degrees. Is that making sense? Anyone not? I think this is why in high school, I mean, I could do algebra and I could do trig, but geometry just made so much sense to me because it is drawing. Then, how are we doing?
Okay.
Because I can come around and check. Then you want to estimate the other side. What angle is that going off at? Maybe 20 degree. So see how comparing this right angle here, the nearest corner to that imaginary line that's perpendicular to your line of sight, what angle does that one go off? And what angle does this one go off?
And then the other one is parallel to that.
Then the others will be parallel to that, exactly. And we're not gonna be too concerned about perspective right now, let's just do them parallel. So we know that this top one is gonna go off at the same direction as that other one from the top corner. Boom, boom. So I do this, I kinda like get the feeling of that angle, just keep going right up there so it's doing the same thing. And you can also, no, I'm not gonna do the next one. Do that after. And the same with this. It's going off at this angle. It's gonna go off at this angle.
Like extrapolate your lines.
I'm lost. I'm doing something very wrong.
Color. You figured out this line?
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm honestly not sure I'm seeing it right.
All right, here's the corner closest to
Yeah, I
you.
got that.
All right. Then, from your perpendicular line of sight, you figured out the angle here that this one's going off at.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's right.
And then the top angle would go off the same as this one. You've estimated this angle going off on the other side, and that would be in the same direction. So these lines are parallel to each other.
Yeah, so that's what I'm not seeing, because from where I'm looking,
Much easier with clay. Now I know why I only did clay.
Because clay's already three-dimensional and you're creating this.
Well, I can make it go whatever.
I love clay. Remembering now that the vertical lines are vertical, coming up from this far corner here, you got vertical, coming from, oh, we haven't measured how far out that line is, have we?
No, I went off my paper already.
All right, remember how we measured that corner? No, we measured the whole thing, but now we're gonna measure the corner. What you're gonna do is do this,
Yeah.
just the corner, that's your unit of measurement. So, I am gonna take my pencil, looking at the box, from this corner down to there.
Okay.
And that's my unit of measurement. It's not gonna translate exactly to the paper, but the proportion of it is, the ratio. So if this is 1, and then I take that 1 measurement, is that making clear what I'm saying about what unit?
Yep.
Okay.
And then what do you do with it?
And then if I turn it out this way,
Yeah.
where on that 1 unit does this back corner hit? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here?
Ah.
So you'll be comparing this forward corner to how far out it goes to this one. And this is kind of rectangular box. For me, it's about 1 1/5. 1 and then a little 5th out here. See how I measure that? That's going to be, for me, that edge of that box. You didn't think you have to think so much in drawing, did you?
Homework proved that.
Well,
My brain got.
these are basic tools, because then when you start drawing other things like houses and stuff, it will really help you. Eventually you can start estimating, you don't have to do all this measuring. I'm trying to give you the foundation of understanding of it.
Yeah, I made it straight.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's the way it looks.
Yeah, from you.
From this.
This is your perspective line, that's the
This
flat.
is your little angle that you're looking at.
Mhm.
You pretty much got that. So now I know that this side of the box is out this far away. I didn't measure this side. 1, and it's about less than half. 1, less than half. So for me, the side of the box is gonna be there. So I have my base lines, my starting line, my 2 base lines, the distance out to these. Now I can connect some dots. Now I know this angle goes out that way, that one's parallel to that, it's going to intersect right here. This one comes out this way, parallel, there's my corner. So this will kind of disappear. This is from my perspective. Everybody's at a different perspective. Seeing things in life is trickier than seeing things on a flat piece of paper.
Yeah, but working from a photograph, I understand why you say it's easier to start.
Yeah. So now we know that this line, for me, this line and this line are parallel to this line. This line and this line are parallel to this line. This line and this line are parallel to that line. Boom, boom, boom. That gives me that back side of the box without it going wonky. Okay.
All right, well, that's helpful. So we're gonna stay with parallel for now because we're not doing way distance.
We're not, this actually does converge off here,
Yeah.
and what this happens is these guys converge over here. Anything that's parallel to this will converge way over here.
Okay.
Anything that's parallel to this, this, and this will converge way over here. That's 2-point perspective.
So if you wanna put that box in the background of another box, you would maybe be more angular, it wouldn't quite be parallel. Be more parallel in the foreground than it would be in the background? Not fair to say that?
I'm not just not following.
Okay, so if you have 2 boxes, one in the foreground and one further behind. Yep. Yep. Would the one in the back, to give it perspective, to show that it's in the back, have less parallel lines? It would be a little more convergent than the one in the front?
If both of the boxes are exactly, if they're parallel to each other.
Yes,
All of these lines and all of these lines are going to go to the exact
same
same
point.
one.
All right, all right. that
Once
makes-
you
that makes
tilt
more
this
sense.
like this, these are going to one vanishing point.
And that's going to another.
These are
All right,
going to
I
another.
understand better. My question
There are
was-
I've seen studies of somebody did a bureau and all the drawers are at different angles and you've got
Mhm.
all these different, but the horizon line is always at the same level.
Okay, all right, that answers my question.
She's after way more than.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
And trust me, it will not translate to my drawing that way, but I,
But the thinking, if the thinking
Yeah.
is there, it can come back to it.
okay.
Christina, let me see.
You don't mind that I'm learning from your
No.
drawing?
Did you say all parallel lines converge? Yes.
Yeah.
Not literally, but yes.
All
terms of
lines that are
point.
parallel to each other
Okay.
converge on the same vanishing
that
point.
ring
alarm
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, I think I've turned that thing off like 3 times, like why am
I keep turning it off, I don't know why.
If you go in the app, you can silence, do a motion snooze.
I turn mine off and it just vibrates, because as a high school teacher, I can hear it go zzz.
Well, I turned off I turned it to do not disturb, but the ring thing still comes through for some reason.
Yeah, you, on the iPhone, you just turn the little volume.
Yeah, I did do that, but it was, but the ring sounds from
Yeah.
the alarm still come through.
Depends on your settings, yeah.
Yeah. for some reason.
All right, new piece of paper. Please don't get frustrated with that. At the very least, start your box. Start your box, try to basically figure out how the angles go off, parallel, 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 parallel,
Yeah,
parallel.
yeah, that's a good start. Okay.
Just,
It just takes practice once you understand the
yes.
process.
I taught a class a while back, this a couple of years ago before COVID, in Hendersonville, and this, she came in and she spent the rest of these classes
Just doing that.
doing perspective. She just was fascinated by it, and she was doing these farmhouses with porches and everything. I'm like, all right, good. All right, we have a photo. Okay, so combining forms. I think you guys got combining forms last week a little bit. Let's use a photo to talk about relationships and proportions. That other word. So, what picture do you like better? I don't know. Simpler one?
The bottom.
The bottom one? It's okay? Jennifer's like, no, I'll take this. Let me start with this one. I'm sorry it's small. Some of you have it already. So the picture with the 2
It's on
fruit
another account.
and that slotted spoon. Great, slotted spoon. What is the first thing we notice about this picture? Is it vertical or horizontal? It's vertical, right? So we're not going to use this whole sheet of paper. Right, Kristen? So this is right off the bat. I realize this is taller than it is wide. I'm just picking on Kristen, she did a thing, she had some nice things here, and then her bottle went off the picture because she took this and put, not this one, but something like this, and put it in a horizontal format.
But if your paper's already vertical, you should leave it vertical, like, vertical.
If what you're drawing is vertical.
Okay.
If we were gonna do this one, which way would you turn? Well, this is kind of square, but I
Right,
would probably
this
go
way.
horizontal on
Yeah, I
this.
did.
Right,
Okay,
okay?
yeah.
So you follow your subject. So I'm gonna use this piece of paper. I know the top of my picture's kind of here and the bottom thing. So I'm gonna leave a little breathing space around my objects. But I don't wanna draw it this big either. I wanna, have a nice filled area. What time is it? Sorry.
11:05.
Thank you. Am I gonna use this, I guess? I'm gonna use this so you can see it maybe better. So, what I'm doing right off the bat is I'm figuring that's the top of my picture, And then the bottom of the picture is gonna be about here. What am I gonna use as my measuring unit for this, if this were in life? Usually it's the closest, most simple thing. In this case, my measuring unit is gonna be this orange in the foreground. Does that make sense? All right, so my orange, if I make my orange about, here's the bottom of the orange and the top of the orange. All I'm doing now is tick marks, little tick marks to help me measure. I also know that the orange is about as wide as it is high. So if it's this high, dun, 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 it's gonna be that wide. My orange is gonna fit in there. This is not a shape, this is just tick marks. Yes, good? Now I know that the orange, I'm gonna start simple right now, I'm just gonna make it as if it's a circle. Ta-da, orange. I'm gonna build the rest of my still life on this. Next closest object, I'm gonna ignore the spoon. Can we ignore the spoon?
Yes.
Good. I mean, I'll show you maybe at the end, but why is it there? Our next object is this pear, and where is that one? But how far away is it? So we're taking this unit of measure, which is height and width on the orange, and we're figuring out about how far away the next object is. It's almost another orange, but not quite. Not quite. So I measure the orange, but not quite. So that's gonna be the edge of the pear. And he appears to be about as big as the orange, so I'm just measuring, gonna be about that wide. Tick marks. I am just placing things in relationship to other things. I'm checking out the proportions of how big this one is to how big this one is. Checking back and forth. This is the classical training, academic training way of drawing, but you guys are gonna be
So
awesome.
you don't start in the minutia, you get the overall format.
You want to get your form solid. There's no amount of coloring or decorating or anything that's going to cover up bad form. Where did that come from? Hook. Bad form. Do you guys remember Hook?
I was
that just
Peter
popped
Pan.
into my head. Okay, it's like, I don't know. All right, so we have two objects. We need to figure out how they are in relationship to each other on the picture plane. I can see that the pear sits back a little further than the orange. So I'm just kind of estimating, see there's that little angle
That
there?
angle.
It's not like this. It goes back, so here, this angle goes back about, so the base of the pear is gonna sit a little higher up on my picture plane, because it's a little further back. C'est bon? Ça va? Ça va, ça va? Also, where does the picture hit? The picture, where does that hit on the orange? Just the base, that little baseline of the picture that's right there. Right about there. It's gonna touch that orange right about there. And it's gonna touch the pear, I don't know, right about there. I'm not drawing it through yet, I'm just realizing this is helping me, and I'm gonna be going back and forth and checking back and forth. How tall is the pear compared to its width? So you, again, you can just keep bouncing around the, I mean my little pencil thing. The pear, there's some water back there, you get some?
Goodness.
Pear is a hint taller than it is wide. Width,
It's contagious.
okay. So here's the width of my pear. I freeze my hand. That's the thing, but I want it a little bit higher, so the top of the pear is gonna be up in here somewhere along here. And what is the pear? While we're here, we got a nice sphere here.
Red pear.
Sorry?
Oh, it's a red pear. Oh, sorry.
It's a red pear. It's kind of an oval. To me, it's like two ovals blended together almost. So I have the base part, kind of an oval here. And then the top part, which is a little smaller, is a little bit of an oval. It's a little off-center. If this were the center, it seems like it's a little off-center. You want to give items character. You don't want to make them perfect. You want to give them a little character. Happy. So oval. Now right now it just looks like circles, but I'm thinking oval. Okay? I'm going to be thinking because next week when we go into shading, we're going to be thinking about this. Moving along?
I'm just poking, yeah, I'm good. Between you and that, I'm great, thank you.
Good. And, let me get this. Pretty good on that so far? Now comes the tricky, okay? We have the picture now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna draw. Now remember, this is a cylinder basically. So I'm drawing the base. If this were the picture, I'm drawing the base of that.
Base of the picture.
And it goes through and behind the fruit. However, where
Yeah.
does it touch here? Touches right about there on the orange. Where does it touch on the pear? It touches about here on the pear. So between this, and this base, that's gonna give me basically where my picture's gonna be
Isn't that interesting?
in relationship to the other items that are there. Is it making sense? I need to repeat. Orange. So I know that the base of the picture touches here and here on the orange and the pear, comes off here, there, and over to the side here. So I know it's gonna fit in here. If I draw these lines through, basically, there's the base of my picture, with our X-ray vision, with thinking it through. Why do we need to think it through? Because we need to know where this side comes off and that side comes off.
Yeah. Huh.
Oh, Valerie, I love your encouraging sounds. Is everyone else as encouraging?
Sorry, my brain
No,
is
no, I
louder
appreciate
than
it.
others.
No, I do, I'm serious. So we have a good idea of the base of that. Yes? Anyone
Yes.
not? So, ignore everything else. If we know this is the base of the picture, we have to find the middle of that. So it's gonna be right about there. It's not right in the middle of the two fruits. It's in the middle of the picture. I'm just thinking through. I've got a vertical line going up from that. That's the center of the picture. That's a line going right up through the middle of the picture. Shoop. Now what do we need to do?
Fill in the sides of, measure this from the center.
We have to figure out how tall this thing is compared to the rest, right? What's our unit of measure?
The orange.
It's the orange. So, take it on my side here. There's the height of my orange. Don't start at the bottom of the orange, start at the base of your picture. 1, 2, and
A scooch.
a half, yep. So now I can figure that out on here. Here's my orange. 1, 2, and a scooch.
And you went from the middle of the picture or the base?
I'm taking that measurement from the base.
Okay.
Thank you, from the base. That middle line just helped me to know where the center of the picture is. 1, 2, and a half. Now we basically have two almost cones here, right? Cylinders or cones. we're gonna come up to this spot. That was 1, 2, which is that lower rim. Because from there on, it changes shape. So from here to here, again, unit of measure, the orange. Figure out how big that orange is, how wide is that gonna be? About the same, a little bit bigger. In the middle. See, now we have that center line because we can decide where to put that. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
I'll do it again.
Same.
I'll do it with my pencil because that's been my thing. The width of the orange, up to here. Oh, it's all, see, I was wrong. It's about the same. So I know up here, it's my width of my orange, it's gonna be the same, and I want to get that equidistant on both sides of that center line.
Yeah.
It's about here. What was it? About here. All I have is tick marks, little tick marks to tell me where they are. I know where the base of that vase is, even though it's behind the fruit, I have figured out where that is. I now know where to come off from that up to there.
Base.
Whoops. I was going off from the wrong one. See? Make mistakes.
As long as you're not a surgeon. Whoops are not allowed. Huh.
Yeah. There was an old comedy when we were young and they had comedy records.
I still have a Bill Cosby
Bill
record.
Cosby, yes. Why is there air?
Yeah, and what was it? Bob Newhart. Yep,
Bob
that one
Newhart.
is.
So from the corner of this up to the corner of that, I'm going from the corner of the face there to that.
Yeah.
But when you said that, because that's what it made me think of, was the Bill Cosby, like, when people say, oops, what if a surgeon says, oops?
Yeah,
What do you mean, oops?
not good.
So now, and all of this you're still doing usually, once you get going on this, lightly. You're just measuring, you're just putting everything kind of together.
Huh,
See,
but it
that's wider
already
than I thought
looks
it was.
like the picture rather than trying to build from detail.
Right. Find the basic forms. Is it a cylinder, a cone, a sphere, a cube? Put them together. You can do the same at the top. Notice that this horsespout is a little bit of an angle.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kind of estimate this because it's not even. What's the angle that this goes off? What's the angle that this goes off? They're not even, so hey, we don't have to worry about that so much. It's gonna go off a little angle that way, and that's going off a little angle that way. Don't worry about the handle, that's decoration. Don't tell a potter that. Oh, handles. Right, Andy, I don't
It's
know.
so important.
They are so important, but they're one of my hard things. I tried throwing handles, pulling handles.
I hate them when you can't get your fingers in there. I really-
Right.
I don't buy a mug unless I can get 3 fingers.
What are
in.
they, just little decoration, and why are they there?
Yeah, or they didn't think of that.
No. All right,
So, I don't know if it's a right or wrong thing, but I'm finding like, if I, lack of a better word, wing it, then I can fix it.
you're eyeballing it?
Yeah,
This needs
'cause
to come up about the width
then you can
of
fix after.
the orange, remember? We
I use a
measured-
lot of eraser.
Okay.
Yeah.
We measured the orange, your orange is a little small, by the way, Kristen, but
Okay.
then we use that unit measure for that.
Yeah, that's why my picture is looking short.
It looks short and fat, the
Right.
sides need to come in a little bit.
Okay, so.
Seeing through the picture, through the oranges, so thinking about, if we decided this, you could see this curve here at the base of the picture. Then you could see the line coming down behind the orange and just continue it. and continue this curve here, and then bring this down, continue that line through, that's where they intersect, that's where those corners are gonna be,
Yeah.
that you're gonna go up toward that.
That's how you do it.
Now we notice too that we're not looking straight across at the picture, we're looking down on it slightly, but not as down on it as the base. So this is gonna be a curve as well, just not as dramatic
Okay.
as the one at the base. So I'm just gonna draw an ellipse in there. What's the difference between an ellipse and an oval, Valerie?
Couldn't tell you.
Oh, come on. I don't know either, actually. So, I'm gonna get my dark.
Geometry is not my subject.
So now I have my basic lines.
Or algebra, for that matter.
I can come in, and I'm gonna do this for your sake. So I'm gonna orange. My pear. Now that I have those two spheres of the pear, I can
Yeah.
give it its own shape. It kind of comes out, curves a little bit, kind of comes around. On this side, it comes down a little bit. Kind of sticks out that way. Little stem. If you see, we're gonna still at some point think this curve here. Why would we think the curve at the neck here?
Because it has to be a little.
When we get into shading, it's gonna be vital, right? It's- Yeah, by knowing that that's there, it's gonna make a difference. And then the opening. There's a little rim here, but we're not gonna do a lot of the detail. It's so easy to get caught up in the detail.
Using charcoal? Or we're just using graphite? Are we using charcoal?
I'm doing it to show you. You
Oh,
use
we
whatever
should
you're
use-
comfortable with at this
okay.
point. I'm using it for emphasis.
Got it.
And dirty hands.
And dirty hands. I forgot to put my clear shield on today. I have this
Oh.
product, it's a silicone and aloe based product that it goes on like a mousse and it creates an invisible barrier on your hands and dries up so you can't even tell it's on there.
Avon used to have something like
This
that.
was maybe, this is Market America or something like that, yeah. But you can buy it directly online, it's about $25 a bottle, but it lasts me for months and I use it almost every day.
Clear Shield.
Clear Shield at shop.com.
And it takes the smudges off your hands?
No,
Keeps
Oh.
them from getting on,
Oh.
right? Makes it easier to get it off.
it's easier to get it off.
Yeah.
It creates this barrier that things wash off
Yeah.
a lot easier. Plus for pastel, if you're working with any heavy metal pigments, it's not gonna penetrate into your skin.
That's worth it right
Oil
there.
painting, anything like that, mild acids, it keeps a lot of acids out of your hands. And so for a few hours, it protects your hands
Yeah.
very well, or anything else you need protected. So this, right, now we basically have a nice little still life. I don't know which charcoal I have here. If you wanted to add the handle, figure out the angle it goes off, where it touches here,
Yeah.
angle it goes off there, it has like a little curve up here, you can put a little circle in that and it's very simple little,
Well, that was really helpful.
thank you,
Yep.
I'm glad.
And clear.
Any questions before we move on? So this is a great thing to practice, get some pictures like this. Pictures of pictures. No. Just get, black and white, try to keep them very simple. This is a good one to practice because you kind of have a cube there, another cube there, but don't get too carried away with the cubes, right? You have the understanding.
Yeah.
Your unit of measure here would be the apple. How tall is this?
Huh.
So, start with the apple. Let me do it with this one. This is gonna be a unit of measure. We're not gonna do this one right now, but here's your unit of measure. Where does the base of that cube touch on that apple? Where does the base of this cylinder touch on that apple? So, right, you've got it here and here, here and here. So already they're in relationship with each other. You know that this cylinder is going to be 1 1/4 apples high. So it sits back on the picture plane a little bit. It's not right beside it, it's a little bit back at an angle, there. It's gonna be about an apple and a little bit more high. I'm not thinking about the handle right now, I'm just thinking to the top of the picture here, or whatever this thing is, char. A little higher, touches there, kind of from this to here, figure out where the center of that thing is, just so you have the central axis of it going down through the middle, because that's gonna help you figure out where to go. That oval, this oval, boom, you basically have that. You see how I'm building it as we go along? The next thing, maybe the cube, how tall compared to the apple, it's 1 1/4 apple high. From here, it's 1 1/4 apple high. I'm just gonna draw it somewhere up here. Vertical, how wide compared to the apple? About the same width as the apple, so it's gonna be from here to here, about the same width as the apple. See, all of a sudden, now I have almost my cube. And this side almost disappears, so we know that's going way back at an angle. This box touches there. By touching there and there, you just draw that angle, kind of have that side of the box. Look at this is at what height? That's at our horizon height. See how we don't see any of that curve? For that. So by building and one thing on another, you get. Try to find some photographs. I can probably send you more if you'd like. If you want some more, let me know. If you can find some of your own, that's fine. I'm looking around, I'm seeing the house photo. You can try these again. If you tried these before, you can probably try these again. Before it was just kind of putting the shapes in there, but now we have how do we do the proportions and the relationships to each other. Houses are basically cubes on cubes and cubes. Time?
It is 11:35.
Good. Mental stretch, a little break, deep breath. Because now we're going live. You just did live with the box. I am going to set up one of the simplest still lifes I can find. What I'm trying to do is not make this directly onto anybody, and that's hard to do in a class. That might work. Here or here? Here?
That's probably easier, yeah. At least from where I'm sitting.
I can't see what you see. Everybody sees it differently. That's why I walk around behind you, so I can see it from your point of view.
Can you move the sphere and the cup? No, the other, no, the one.
Oh, get these out of the way.
Yeah.
Imagine that would interfere with your.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would be nice to have a big black table. We haven't talked about how you set the table in with the whole picture plane and everything. Let me see from.
You would need something behind it for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Jackie, it's probably best if we set up your own little thing where you are. Ah.
A lot of space there.
That side of the box is almost non-existent. Keep that in mind. That means that angle is going back really close to vertical, but not quite. And yours is on this side.
Yeah.
Interesting, what you have on this side is what Beth has on this side.
Yeah, not weird.
All right, so, do you want to walk you through it, or you guys,
Go ahead.
you start with the base,
Yeah.
right? You're gonna have the orange as a unit of measurement, height and width. Is it a vertical or a horizontal format?
Vertical.
Most of you, it's probably vertical, right? So you all turned your paper vertically.
That's my first problem.
So your first,
Even though the cone is a little closer to you, I would still use the ball as your
Yes.
measurement because it's easier to work with. And you can see how, start here, how far away is the next object. The base of the cone is about the same as the base of the orange. Where does it touch on the box? One step at a time. Basically from a lot of you. Let me go around.
So I don't have to use the exact size I get here on the paper, it'd be
That's what I
too
was thinking
teeny
of,
weeny.
Right,
you
no.
just start, could you start like
It's all relative.
saying you want it to be like
Actually,
That's-
3 times the ball
it looks
or?
to me to be
Yeah.
more
Then
wide
that,
than it
then
is.
that's
That's
one
your
unit.
unit, yeah.
Ah, I
Let's
just had an aha there, you and I must have shared
Yes.
ahas.
Yeah, cause I was thinking the same thing.
So remember, approximate, keep your arm at the same distance as you're measuring, so it's not
Now
doing
I got it,
this.
so it's relative, so.
Right,